Welcome into another episode of Home Field Advantage, I suppose. I'm Will Highland. I'm alongside Kyle Diesel. It's our NFL divisional preview show for the weekend ahead. We'll also, because in the spirit of having Diesel here, talk a little bit of hockey at the end. We're supposed to be joined by Cam Kesa. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, so instead, we are flying just the two of us as we normally would on Odd Man Rush. So if you listen to that show, I appreciate you tuning in here. It's a little bit of a weird setup, but hey, it's the beginning of 2026. So what are we gonna do? Kyle, how are you? Can we get a weather report? And how are we feeling after wildcard weekend? Three-pronged question.
Doing well. There's no snow here in the city. If there is, in some few spots. But otherwise, today was actually pretty warm. It was probably in the low 40s. Probably tonight, probably like low 30s. So nothing too crazy. It ain't freezing out this way.
Yeah.
Uh, as you mentioned, crazy football weekend. I mean, how many close games are we gonna be left on our seats to watch? Like every single game we watched was a thriller.
Yeah, and even the games that people are crapping on, which would be the Patriots and Chargers and the Steelers and Texans, those games were one score games in the fourth quarter. So,
Correct.
uh, and like, I don't, if you woke up like a lot of people did and you didn't stay up for last night's game and you saw 30-6, you're like, oh, that wasn't interesting. I actually thought it was a pretty interesting game. Um, so yeah, that one would be the most recent one, right? But the first three were incredible. I watched the Rams and Panthers first half at a bar nearby, and the second half at my house with a friend, and we like we're kind of thinking, wow, this is gonna be a dud. The Rams are gonna run all over them. Carolina, to their credit, made it close. And
Mm-hmm.
then Rams pulled it out, made the key plays late. I would say the same sort of thing happened um, with Green Bay, except uh, they couldn't pull it out at the end. And then Jacksonville, you had a back and forth game with Buffalo, and then same thing really with San Francisco and Philadelphia.
The
So I mean, all the first five games were or four games were all practically the same blueprint. Uh, and I think that's good for the league. Do you, before we get into divisional weekend, do you think we talk about format a lot with the NHL when we do our other pod? Do you think that the um, NFL playoffs should be modified more, or do you like what it is, or do you like what it used to be? I think we said that I think we said that we didn't really like the current format of the NHL, but do you like the current format of the NFL?
That's a tough one. I think so. I mean, it's been there for years. I don't see why to change it too much. I mean, it's similar to the NHL. If you win your division, I mean, there's more spots available. You're going to have a higher seed to play in. You're going to have a home game at least or home series. I think it should stay because it makes those divisions more critical. And I feel like if you take those away, you lose the passion of, oh, I got to play like for example, like we had last weekend, the Bears and the Packers over the weekend. That's a huge rivalry game. You take that away and they have to go and potentially have play somewhere else. I mean, as a Rams fan here, I would love to have home field advantage. I think we would have moved up to the 2 seed potentially if we didn't have the format we had for the wild card. Um, or current NFL setup. So I don't have a problem with it. It makes it. I feel like home field advantage doesn't really too much exist as we saw it this weekend. Doesn't really play a factor anymore in the NFL. I don't think it matters if you're home or away. If you are the better coach team, you're going to win, no matter if you're home or away. So I don't think it should change either way.
Yeah, one of the critiques I have is I really don't think it needs to be seven teams. I really don't. Like I think having two buys and six total teams is enough. And I think you have to find a way to you have to find a way to reward teams that have good seasons. The like the Bears should have had a bye, right? Like they won their division, they had a great season, they stacked up a lot of wins. They should have had a bye. Now, granted, both the Bears and Patriots as two seeds didn't convincingly win their wild card games. However, in the history of that spot, I believe that their teams are 1-11, and ironically, only the Packers have ever won as a 7 seed. So, like they they expanded the playoffs obviously because they wanted a sixth game on Wild Card Weekend. Right. Yeah. They wanted six total games. All right. Instead of four. And so they wanted more money that comes with the TV from having two extra playoff games and not to mention they have the expanded regular season. But if you're going to expand the regular season, then why are you expanding the playoffs? Because you would think, okay, well that's an extra game that teams have, so theoretically you don't need that extra team in the playoffs because you should have the best six teams if you're playing 17 games. So I don't love the new format. I think there are teams that deserve buys. I do I do push back on some of the narrative about the division winners getting an automatic home playoff game. I think some people are a little bit frustrated with that. But look, Carolina earned that home game. I mean, they did. They won that division where every team had seven or more wins. We look at that division and we say that division's bad. I mean, it might be bad because you don't have 10, 11, 12 win teams like you have in the AF in the NFC West. But in the NFC South, nobody was awful. Like you didn't have the Cardinals or the Raiders or the Jets or the Browns in that division. So it was really hard for Carolina to win their division. It came down to them needing the Saints to lose to the Falcons in order for them to win their division. I mean, they had to battle and nobody expected them to to make the playoffs. So they earned their division win. And I think if you earn your division win, considering you play six teams in your division, you should be able to get a home game. And the Rams, to their credit, traveled across the country and won in a tough environment. Carolina is a tough environment to play, and 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 Carolina had their shot. And I think the home field advantage did play a factor in that being a close game, right? If that game's at SoFi, I don't think the Panthers score 20 points, right? Um, but I do think it comes into play. It just might not be what it used to be because I think Buffalo is opening as a favorite in Denver. When was the last time a five seed went to um went to a road game against a number one seed in the divisional round and was a favorite? So I do agree with you there. And actually, speaking of that, what do you make of the Buffalo Denver game? What are you looking at? So
Yeah,
as
I
we
mean
transition.
it's a really good matchup. I like looking at the overall team experience. I mean, I think the Bills, the difference maker here is Josh Allen. It's a huge difference maker because he's the guy who is going to take their team down to go. If there's a last minute drive, he can take the team down, score. If we saw in Jacksonville getting their first win on the road since what, the 1990 something. So I think for them, that's going to be a huge difference maker. The question is can Denver's defense get enough stops and turnovers, which I think they will be able to do? Can that offense with Bo Nix carry them and build a strong enough lead? That is my number one weakness. The Denver Broncos is their quarterback issue, being consistent. Yes, he turns it on the fourth quarter, similar to Caleb Williams. I don't know how that works in the playoffs, especially against a veteran seasoned team that's been there and done that, and a coach who's been there and done that. So I don't know how it's going to work out for Denver, but the crowd should be feeding into it. I mean, yes, you are going to Mile High as well, but also the Bills are taking a lot of injuries last week, as we've done all season long. However, their defense has gotten stops as they needed to. As we saw in the Jacksonville game, they got stops when needed. Josh Allen did stall here and there, but they were able to keep him in the game. And I think that's a difference maker. Can the Bills defense keep this Bills offense in the game? That's going to be a decision maker on if the Bills are able to pull this game out.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I would say that the coaching advantage is in my opinion on Denver. Sean Payton has won a Super Bowl. I mean, granted, it was 17 years ago or something like that, but I mean, it was 16 years ago, but he's
Correct.
won a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to win a with a team that, I mean, this Denver team is built a lot like the '09 Saints.
Correct.
Really good defense, Now, I'm not saying Bo Nix is Drew Brees, okay, before you make that headline. Um, but he's good enough. I think he's serviceable. I mean, we've seen Nick Foles and Rex Grossman go to Super Bowls. We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo go to Super Bowls. I mean, you can go to the Super Brock Purdy. I mean, these are quarterbacks with less than stellar uh, uh, physical attributes. So Bo Nix, I think, gives him a chance to win. He's not a scrub, and offensively, I think Denver can do enough. But I think this game is really going to be Denver's defense versus Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen, he is the darling of the NFL. Everybody loves him. Everybody can't wait. Everybody wants him to win a Super Bowl so bad, right? This feels like it's the Josh Allen deserves a Super Bowl award year. I mean, that's what it feels like, and maybe that's a little bit of Patriot fan bias, but it just feels like you hear everyone, well, Josh Allen deserves it. Well, Josh Allen deserves what his team gets, right?
Right.
And I think it's a tough task for them to go into Mile High. I do like Buffalo in this game. I think Buffalo can do enough defensively to really not make it a shootout. I think this game is going to be really similar to when Philadelphia played the Bills a
Yeah.
few weeks ago. Uh, and ultimately, Philadelphia was able to win that game because of a few miscues here and there on Buffalo's side. But um, but I'm of the opinion that the experience of Josh Allen will trump the experience of Sean Payton because ultimately it's the players who execute. The coaches can come up with the best game plan ever, but it's the players who are going to execute. So I don't know if you agree with that assessment.
No, I agree on that same assessment. Like I said, I'm more worried about seeing is this going to be too big of a spotlight for Bo Nix, and this will be kind of his. I believe this might be his first playoff game. Maybe it's a second playoff game.
Second, in his first game was against the Bills in Buffalo, so he's only ever played the Bills.
He's only ever played the Bills. I mean, we saw it with Trevor Lawrence. The lights were too bright for him with that costly pick there at the end. I don't know if Bo Nix is going to be able to carry it. Yes, he has all the weapons and everything there. I just don't know if he has the power, the will to get there to make it for to overcome Josh Allen and this Bills team overall.
Yeah, and I think time will tell, but if the Bills can win in Jacksonville, and I get it, Denver's a really hard place to play. I think that
Yep.
Jacksonville team who has won in Denver. So like if you think about the cumulative property, again, I'm not a mathematician, but the Bills beat the Jags beat the Broncos. I like the Bills' chances, right? So I guess I'll leave it at that. Um, so the Saturday night game I think is probably, if you ask me to pick, the most entertaining game of the playoffs this weekend. It would be San Francisco at Seattle. This is really reminiscent of some of those games that we saw, 10, 15 years ago between these two teams in the playoffs. Um, I I don't love Sam Darnold. I don't love McDaniel or excuse me, McDonald as a coach. I really don't. Even though they've had a great year, Jackson Smith and Jigba has been incredible for them. You watch a lot more NFC West than me, but I would say this scenario right now is best case for your team because if the Rams are able to go to Chicago and win, then they're going to get a really beat up San Francisco team or a really beat up Seattle team because I think this game is going to be a little bit of a war of attrition.
Nope.
I tend to lean towards Seattle because of they've had a week off and San Fran had to go to Philly and now they've got to go back home and now they've got to go play a division rival and they're not going to have George Kittle. So uh, I lean Seahawks in this game. Where do you go?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this is the third time you're playing this team in a season. It's crazy to think about that. If perhaps the Rams win it or on Sunday, hopefully they do. Whoever wins this game is also going to have to play another division rival potentially for a third time, back-to-back games, which is crazy to think about. I do agree with you. I do think the Seahawks have the advantage one having this bye. However, I do think this Niners team has a lot more confidence coming in after being the previous Super Bowl champs. So don't count them out at the end as everyone thought they would
Right.
against Eagles. even though they're beat up, this team is relentless. This team does not stop. Even without George Kittle, they're going to find someone else to fill that gap. It's next man forward, as you know, as a Pats fan, next man up. And
Yep.
this is what the team with Kyle Shanahan has been like all year round. Next man up. And they've been doing it nonstop. I think the big difference maker with everyone else being hurt is having Christian McCaffrey. He is the difference maker for this
Yeah.
offense. Brock Purdy is the coordinator, but without Christian McCaffrey, you have no real true threat at the running back and wide receiver position. He does everything for that offense. Yes, the defense is beat up. They haven't gotten much pressure on the quarterback, which I think is going to be a difference maker for Seattle. Because if Sam Darnold's not taking off his first one or two targets, he will be fine. And if you're not able to generate that pressure, he's going to have all day to pass the ball. And I think it's
Yeah.
going to be for Seattle. And plus, that defense is really, really good. Not going to hide it. As a Rams fan, I know they're a really good team. We've gone there to compete against them. But as we saw him play in the last week of the season, it was still, was it 13-3 was the final? It was still a
Yeah.
close game.
It's gonna be a war of attrition, like I said.
But I think the big difference maker, as you talked about, for us, is going to be traveling. They're going all the way from the East Coast now all the way back to the West Coast to play.
Yeah, I tend to lean toward, it's a tall order. Like I'm not taking anything away. Is a I think he's a good coach. I think he's a
Yeah,
top 10 coach in the league. I think he's slightly overrated because of his last name and because I think John Lynch is the pardon the pun, the linchpin of
yeah,
that organization, putting together a team that is so deep that Kyle
yeah,
Shanahan is able to empty the bag on a weekly basis, right? I think people they talk about he does a lot with less. I think his less is a lot more than the average NFL team. So I give John Lynch a lot of credit for this San Francisco year, and I think the game 2.5 weeks ago that was for the one seed. It's ironic that they meet each other in the divisional round weeks later, right? I think San Francisco is probably saying, what would have happened if we were the one seed? Would Seattle have gone to Philadelphia and won? Would we be playing the Rams instead? Like they don't really know. They can't really think like that, but I think they are probably gonna wish that they had George Kittle, even though, like you said, they're really good at the best man up. He is an emotional leader on that team,
correct.
and in a game like they're going to have, you're gonna need big bodies, and he's not like on Gronk or Travis Kelce level, but he's going to be a huge miss for them. So the coaching matchup, I think, does favor the 49ers.
Yeah,
But just like with Buffalo, I I don't I don't I don't really know. It's a coin flip game. It really is. But I'm leaning Seattle, even though I don't love Sam Darnold. I've been very critical of Sam Darnold. I think you could have Sam Darnold turn into a pumpkin. You also could have him throw for 250 yards and a touchdown and not really need to do anything else. So I don't know what to believe.
I mean, you could say it's the same thing on the other side with Brock Purdy. You could say the same thing of him being a bumpkin of throwing three picks in the game. So I think both ways it can go either way. However, for the 49ers, the advantage they have is Trent Williams came back last week and
Definitely.
coming into this game. So I think this is going to be a true tier matchup, as you mentioned before. This is going to probably be the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's the best game of the weekend. And actually, this sounds crazy. And I'm trying to I think Buffalo and Denver will be a good game. Don't get me wrong. But I think an underrated game, and even as a Patriots fan, I'm trying not to be biased. I do think a lot of people are going to overlook Texans at Patriots on Sunday afternoon. I think the conventional wisdom is that, oh, well, the Patriots haven't played a real team. Well, whether or not they played a real team is entirely dependent on what happens in the game, right? So if the Chargers had beaten the Patriots Sunday night, then it would have been, oh well, see what happens when the Patriots play a real team, they lose, but they win. So then the narrative is they haven't played a real team. And so now what we're going to hear all week is, well, this is kind of going to be a defensive battle because the Patriots only scored 16 points last week, and Houston has this really good defense that had two defensive scores. In Pittsburgh, they've already gone to the Northeast on a road game and won already in the postseason. So I think Houston is a 2.5 point underdog, which really, if you consider I'm not a gambling guy, but that the home team usually gets 3 points, that's kind of a toss-up game. It's a pick 'em game. And I think that shows that people really don't know what to expect. Like CJ Stroud did not look good against the
No,
Steelers. Drake May didn't look great either, but I thought CJ Stroud was like, hold my beer in terms of the strip sacks. I'm going to get strip sacked how many times? Three, four times? They
yeah,
had fumbled snaps or strip sacks in Pittsburgh. Not to mention the bad interception he had in the red zone. I mean, this is this is where New England should be able to take advantage of a young quarterback in the playoffs. And the Texans have never gotten past the divisional round. They've or 0-6 in the divisional round, including 0-2 in their franchise history at Gillette Stadium. I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk for New England. I like the Patriots in another close rock fight game, but I think people are overlooking this game just because it doesn't have a sexy quarterback matchup and there isn't a lot of possibility for offense. I actually think that the the Pats' best chance of winning the game, and tell me if you agree, is to um is to hold the ball away from Houston and to play and to wear their defense out. Right? Try and wear that defense out early if you can. Right? I know it's easier said than done, and the Texans have a lot of familiarity with the New England offensive system, considering a lot of them worked under Josh McDaniels. Um, but I would just point out that if you're worried about the Houston pass rush, you gotta sustain long drives on them. One of the reasons why New England could get home on their pass rush against the Chargers is because the the Chargers didn't have any drive um, longer than I think their field goal drive that was 40 yards. I don't think they had a drive longer than that the whole game. So I don't know. What do you think about that? The key to the victory for the Patriots being to wear out the defense early if they can.
yeah, I agree. They've got to have those long drives. They got to hold possession for long periods of time. They can't just go three and out or
I
cause
also don't
turnovers.
think they should, sorry to interrupt, but I also don't think they should go out there and score on the first play.
I mean, I think if they do, if it's there, take advantage of it.
Yeah, right. Obviously. Yeah.
Uh, for them, I think it's important to mix in a good. I think they just got to keep that pass rush off them by being able to run the ball effectively, making short passes, but also open up to some play action when it's open. Don't take sacks. That's the big thing. Drake making out for to do that against this Houston team, and then defensively, just make CJ Stroud make mistakes, as you saw on the Steelers game. Get pressure under him, make him cause those turnovers. Like you don't have to do extra to do it. If you don't have to bring extra man
Right.
to provide pressure, keep him on the back front because you know this is a team that loves to throw the ball. They're not a big run heavy team.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And the one thing that I saw, I mean, Mark's like you said with running the ball. If you I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against the New England, against Barmore and Milton Williams. I don't think that's going to be a
No.
recipe for success for them. I think New England's defensive strategy should be make CJ Stroud beat you in the air and make him do it without Nico Collins, right? Nico
Yeah.
Collins is probably not going to play. We talked about George Kittle and the 49ers. I don't think Nico Collins is going to play for Houston this weekend. And look, Christian Kirk had a really good game last night. Um, a couple big catches, right?
Mhm.
But really, the 30 points, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, those came from two defensive scores. So
Correct.
they scored 16 points. New England scored 16 points, right? So who's gonna give? Whose offense do I trust to make better plays? It's the Patriots offense, right?
Correct.
It's Hunter Henry and it's Stephon Diggs and it's Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. Like the Patriots have more horses on
Mhm.
offense than Houston does. So, like, look, I think both teams it's going to be a race to 20. But if you're asking me who's more likely to get to 20 points despite Houston's good defense, it's New England. Um, because I don't see like if you make CJ Stroud sit in the pocket and throw, as long as Christian Gonzalez is healthy for the Pats, I and Carlton Davis isn't committing penalties. I think in Hawkins remembers, what coverage they're in. I think it's going to be really hard for them to beat you in the air.
Correct.
So that's why I like New England in this game. I like it close. I'd probably, if somebody asked me to give a prediction, I'd probably say like 24 to 16 or something like that. Uh, in favor of New England. Who do you like to win the game?
Yeah, I also like New England in this matchup. As long as Drake May and that offense doesn't turn the ball over
Right.
and get extra chances or go 3-and-out periodically, or consistently, I should say, they should win this game hands down. I don't think if the Patriots start getting the roll going, I don't see this game being close. If they're able to successfully tire out this defense, they can easily start pulling away by the second half.
Right, and I agree. I think for that to happen, they'd really need Jared Wilson and Will Campbell to perform a
Correct.
little bit better than they did against San Diego, the Chargers. I think the the Chargers were able to wear out that side of the ball, and they were able to beat New England on some stunts. Um, and I'd look for McDaniels to probably drop some plays um, that involve personnel groupings, which might mitigate that. Uh,
Correct.
and that's actually very similar to what we did in the Super Bowl. Sorry to bring up a sore subject. In 2018, with when we were facing Aaron Donald and Von Miller was a Ram that year, right?
No, he was not.
All right. Well, you had another defensive player in the front seven that we were worried about. I remember, and that's what I mean, that was a low scoring game. That was a some whoever scores touch was going to win this game. And what McDaniels was able to do was draw up, a formation that was favorable to beating that defensive front. So I'd look for something similar. Speaking of the Rams, final game of the weekend. This is an intriguing game because on one hand you have Matt Stafford, who's going to go to the Hall of Fame, who's won a Super Bowl, who kind of, I mean, has a little bit of a dog in him apparently, based on what he said to his huddle at the end of the Carolina game. But they have expectations now.
Yeah.
Um, he's an MVP candidate, but then on the other side of the field, you have a Bears team that's like New England, like Seattle, kind of a surprise this year, but seems to always find their way back into a game.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a Rams team that let Carolina back into the game a week ago. So, as a Rams fan, how do you feel about going to Chicago? I'd say a tougher place to play than
Yeah.
Charlotte, North Carolina, but still, I mean, it's still, I think, a matchup that most people would like the Rams in that spot. How do you feel as a Ram fan?
Well, to start, it could potentially be the second coldest game ever played in Chicago this Saturday or this
Wow.
Sunday. So start with that. So we'll see. It might not be a passing game. It might be a little windy, but we'll see. But I do have to say, Matthew Stafford's played there in Chicago
A
for
hundred percent. Yep.
being a Lions player. So he knows that place in and out, which gives him kind of the experience and the atmosphere, which is something plays to our advantage. However, if it's going to be a cold game, I expect the Bears to consistently run the ball, which is what scared me against Carolina. They have a 1-2 punch just like Carolina. They also have wide receivers that are over 6'3", including their tight ends. What is the Rams' number one weakest? Cornerback. The average cornerback, I think, for the Rams is just under 6 foot. So it's a huge mismatch for us on the outside. And if I'm the Bears, I would try to take advantage of it. Maybe not super much on deep balls, but definitely quick, short routes within 5 to 10 yards to take advantage of the
Yep.
over. I mean, you can still take your shot down the field, but that's going to be the Bears' difference maker. If you're the Rams, you want to come out full board like you did against the Panthers, like you've done most of these games, and just steamroll them away. Just when it comes to the second half, you just cannot get comfortable. You
Yeah.
cannot special teams to be the reason why you lose the games, and that's what we've seen all season long is the special teams fold like a lawn chair.
That punt block should have lost them the game.
Correct.
However, Carolina, I think, scored a little bit too quick. But that, yeah, that was a big question mark for them throughout the year, and I know you know that better than anybody. I
Correct.
did look it up while you were talking because I was curious. He's 12-10 versus the Bears in his career. I don't know how many of those have come as a Ram versus as a Lion. I'm
I don't
gonna
know Bears. I might played them once.
Yeah, so maybe like call that 11-10 and then call that maybe 5-5 if you factor in road. I'm just assuming that the road and home splits are the same for him because those Lions teams weren't very good. However,
No,
he's in a different environment now, and I think I read that McVay has this will be his 15th career postseason game against the 15th different team.
correct.
Which is unbelievable that he's played half the league. I mean, that's as many teams as you can play. I mean, outside of their Super Bowl against the Patriots, what would be the only NFC team they haven't played themselves? Well, okay, so themselves and then one other team. I
I
can't
think
even think of who that would be.
I
Probably,
think
probably
Seahawks.
the
I don't think we played Seahawks in the playoffs yet.
okay. So yeah, so you can't play yourself, and then you played the Patriots, so that subtract one there. So yeah, pretty much the Seahawks, Cardinals. You've beat the Cardinals before. Yeah. Beat the Buccaneers, beat the Panthers,
I
beat the
don't think we.
Saints, I remember.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think we played the Falcons.
yeah, could it be the Falcons?
Falcons.
Interesting. Interesting, because they've been to oh no, oh well the Bengals. Okay, so they beat the Bengals and then they
Yeah,
played the Patriots. So it must be the Falcons and the Seahawks, right? That you haven't played. Because you definitely that Saints game was the game that you got lucky because of the non-pass interference. And
yeah.
then the rest of that division, I remember the Buccaneers. That was the game that Todd Bowles decided to let Cooper Kupp just let him go, let him go. And then the whole NFC East, Washington
No,
last
I
year,
don't think we played the Giants.
the Giants.
Yeah, I don't think we played the Giants in the playoffs.
So how accurate is that stat then? Because now it's like you've only been in two Super Bowls, so that takes two AFC out. That means 13. You can't play yourself, so that means there's only two other teams in the NFC, right? They'd have to be in the NFC. Interesting. Well, we can look that up later. Anyway, um, fun. No matter what the statistic is, I think it's going to be a fun matchup as a neutral observer. Now, hopefully, I'm not licking my wounds after a Patriots elimination loss. But assuming I'm hopefully not, that would be a nice cap to the weekend. And I think if you're asking me as a neutral observer, would I rather like let's say the Patriots win? I want the Patriots to host the Bills. I think as a I think the better matchup can be
Sure.
argued, but I think as a viewer, having an AFC East AFC Championship would be awesome. And then in the NFC, if you're asking me what I'd like to see a rematch of 2021 when you had 49ers and Rams in the title game.
Yeah,
That's what I would like to see as I think that would be fun. I think LA you would suddenly get a home game, which would be kind of funny. I think that would be a fun game, inter-California rivalry. Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, not that's going to Seattle and having that big game would be not fun. I think it'd be harder, but for you as a Ram fan to watch. But if you're asking me what I want, I think I'd want Rams hosting the Niners, and a great uniform matchup, by the way. And then I'd want Buffalo hosting New England. That way, both of our teams get to host the title game. That would be kind of scary. Um, so before I ask you about your Super Bowl pick, your Super Bowl pick. Now that we've gone through the games, how do you feel about everybody going for it on fourth down? Because
I
that's
think
been a talking point of the playoffs so far.
I think it's fine. I mean, I think look how close these games are. You've got to take your chances, especially if it's there, and if you trust your team, you trust your team.
Yeah,
It, a huge momentum swing either way. It can either be the deal breaker of you staying in the game or you being out of the game. I think being able to get beyond the 40 and being to your opponent's 40 and being able to go for it, go right for it. You trust your team. If you want to, as we can see, a lot of teams aren't trusting their kickers these days.
right.
And
Yeah, it burned the Packers for sure.
and I think that's a huge thing. We're starting to realize that the kicking game isn't as easy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
and,
mean, I think like the Bears, for example, do it way too much, and like they can't. You wonder why they get into 18-point deficits or 30-point deficits or whatever it is. I'm making it up. You know what I mean? It's because Ben Johnson's going for it on like 4th and 5 from his own 32. Like that's dumb. That's dumb. And like Caleb Williams isn't going to be able to bail them out of every single game. Like if they go down 25 at home to the Rams, like I don't think they're winning that game. Like the Rams are too well coached. Same
I
thing
know.
with if they do win and they go play the 49ers or the Seahawks. Like, I don't think you're getting away with it there. Um, now, I also think in the second half it's different than the first half because if you think about it this way, offensive coordinators often go into a game with two or three goal line 2-point conversion plays. Those are usually I've never been an offensive coordinator, but those are generally the same kind of plays that you would run on 4th and short. If you empty your bag, it's kind of like going for two early on in the game. If you empty your bag, the defense has seen your look already. And so now if you do need to go for it on 4th and 2 and you're down 5 with 3 minutes to go and you don't know if you're going to get another shot, that's when you would go for it. Now the defense might have an idea of what you're doing. It's not everybody can be the Bills or the Eagles where you have, mass to ass or whatever they said, or whatever our buddy said the other day about getting a first down. So I think it depends. Now, do you think it has the potential to ruin a team like this playoffs? Like if the trend continues, because so far I think it's actually our teams have been the only ones to sort of skate by without some questionable 4th down calls so far in the playoffs. I think it could have very well hurt the Bears. It could have very well hurt the Bills. Um,
I mean,
but
that's the problem. I mean, look what happened to the Lions a few years ago
yeah,
in the NFC Championship game. It cost them. However, I think that's also things you do later on that catch up to you eventually instead of taking those points.
absolutely.
I think, like I said, it's all about timing. It could come to bite you in the ass, but also how much do you trust your team?
Yeah.
That,
I mean, I remember when Belichick got crucified in 2009 for going for it on 4th and 2 against Peyton Manning in Indianapolis on Sunday Night Football in a game the New England had to win practically to keep in the AFC playoff top of the race, and he didn't trust his defense to stop the Colts,
yeah,
and and um and they didn't, right? And Brady I think threw it to Falk and they ruled him short, and then um the Colts won that game. So like, and people second guess Belichick for a full year practically over that one call, and he still um
yeah,
gets people to remember it. So yeah, I think Dan Campbell in Detroit is a great example of Diesel. He's somebody that I think does it way too much. And where do you think Ben Johnson learned it? So I think that has the ability to ruin the Bears. It
eventually.
it has the possibility. Okay. Um, Speaking of possibilities, there's plenty of different outcomes for the Super Bowl. There's 8 teams left in a bunch of different combinations. Um, who do you see in the Super Bowl, and who do you see winning the Super Bowl?
Ooh, that's tough. Man, I like I like the Rams pulling out the NFC. Just
Weird.
because no, but I
Keep going.
think
Keep
uh,
going. Sorry. Keep going.
that's gone on this year. I think Stafford can carry this. If you give Stafford time to come back for a drive, he's gonna do it. And there's not a single defense out there I don't think that's gonna stop him from coming back to win a game if you give him the position and the time.
And his all-pro receivers and his good tight end and his great coach. Yes.
They're healthy. Hopefully
Yeah.
Kevin Dodd back this week. Other news, so hopefully he'll come back to beef up this O line. If that O line's fully healthy, I don't think anyone's going to stop it. And then I I'm stuck between two teams out in the AFC. It's going to come down to basically a coaching matchup versus a player matchup. I see the Patriots playing the hosting the Bills. It's going to come down to Mike Vrabel and that his team versus Josh Allen. As mentioned before, it's not a coach matchup; it's a coach versus player matchup.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think Josh, for some reason, I think Josh Allen pulls this one out for him.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
It's just been feeling like that the entire second half of the NFL season. He's just pulling things out. I think it'd be a great matchup, Bills versus Rams. And at the end of the day, I think the Rams win it. I think this is the year Stafford goes back and retires, calls it a career.
And you
Um,
guys trade for Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, and we're right back where we were. As we said before, F them picks. We're happy to say it again if Matthew Stafford does choose to retire, respectfully.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should table that discussion about for a different day. Yeah, I hate to be that guy, but I kind of agree with what everything you said. The I wish I could disagree for the sake of a good show. Like I love the Patriots. Like I can see them if they beat Houston, it's gonna be like a war of attrition, like I said with Seattle and San Francisco, right? And so you whoever's gonna come out of that game is gonna be beat up. And I think the winner, I do think Buffalo and Denver will be a hard game as well. I
Right.
think that has the makings of like a 28-24 game rather than a 16-13 game.
Yeah.
So, I think the Bills are going to be able to do enough. Now let's not forget the Bills do have that choking gene in them, right? Like it is ingrained in them. The same way it's been ingrained in the post 2010 Packers is like and actually in the 49ers, right? So yeah, the 49ers had a great win in Philly last week, but they usually lose the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, right? So that's ingrained in them, right?
Sure.
And I do think Buffalo makes the Super Bowl because of now that would be one hell of a road to go to Jacksonville, to Denver, and to New England against the top three seeds and win. That would be Hall. That would put Allen in the Hall of Fame. Now he's probably in the Hall of Fame already if like he retired tomorrow, just
Sure.
because of again how much everyone's in love with him. Um, but that would put him in the Hall of Fame, no questions asked.
Correct.
Especially if they were to then if his road to the Super Bowl would be Trevor Lawrence, number one overall pick, win. Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach, win. Go to New England, division rival, and slay the demon and make it back to the Super Bowl for that franchise, win. Then you go and let's say they beat the Rams, right? You beat Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame quarterback. That's about as good of a 4 game run. That's up there with Brady a few years ago when he beat Breeze, Rodgers, and Mahomes in the same postseason. I mean, that would be incredible. So it feels like that's a strong possibility. But I mean, if you ask me like what I think is the most likely Super Bowl matchup, it probably is Bills Rams. If you're asking me again what I'd like to see, it'd probably be Pats 49ers. Um, Although I don't like the idea of playing the 49ers in the Super Bowl in their own stadium. Don't like that idea. I think that would be fun. I think Pats and Bears would be fun. But I don't want the Bears to win this year. I think they need some humble pie, and I hope you guys give it to them. So, long way of saying, Kyle. Yeah, I'll go with you. I'll go Rams and Bills. So, we'll see who ends up taking home the trophy. Speaking of taking home hardware, we've got the NHL players, I believe, still going to Italy. As far as I checked, they did the ice rink and audit, and apparently it's okay. So we'll see how that goes. We talked a lot about that on our last episode of Odd Man Rush, but I know this is a football centric show, but we'd be remiss if we didn't at least talk about spend 5 minutes on the men's Olympic team roster that was unveiled last week. So how about you go ahead and give me your take so that I don't have steam coming out of my ears.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Looking to say, hold on, I had some notes for it here. I think it's a pretty good lineup. Minus JT Miller should not be on this team. I'll be
Yeah,
proud to say it. He does not belong on this team.
yeah. I mean, he
That
didn't look like he gave a lot of effort when they lost to the Bruins 10-2 the other day. Now, frankly, nobody on the
no.
uh, Rangers gave a lot of effort. And how many Rangers do we have on this team? No
We have,
Adam Fox.
well, don't forget who the head coach is.
Right, I know. And he's Charlie McAvoy's father-in-law. They'll remind you of that too.
George,
Um,
he's having a pretty good year. I'm okay with him being on there. Just
with
JT not belong to be there.
Trocheck, yes, Trocheck is going to be a good penalty killer. If you're going to need a guy to win a face-off in your own zone in a medal round game, I like Trocheck taking that face-off. I like Larkin taking that face-off, by the way. I like obviously like Eichel taking that face-off. We're not going to mention Austin Matthews, but it's okay. Um,
We brought on your guy we talked about before, Tage Thompson, made it to the team, which I
Yes.
think
So it's essentially the same team. Now,
correct.
I know you're looking at it. I'm just trying to do this from memory. Except there's a couple key differences. It's essentially the Four Nations team, except um, no uh, Adam Fox with Seth
Yep.
Jones instead, and
We also
then you have Quinn Hughes who's gonna play this time. He could have played last time, chose not to. So like
yep,
that kind of goes without saying that he was gonna be on the team. That's not a
correct.
surprise. But you're swapping out Adam Fox for Seth Jones, which I like. And then you're bringing in as in your extra guy, which you can, Tage Thompson. That's essentially the difference because the Olympics allow you to have an extra guy, right? Than the
Correct.
Four Nations did. So that's really all you're doing. Is your extra defenseman is Quinn Hughes, which I like. And when I say extra, I mean who wasn't on the Four Nations roster, but he's not replacing anybody. They
No.
let you have an extra forward and an extra deep man. And then your extra forward is Tage Thompson, and I don't think is there a forward that went to Four Nations that's not going to the Olympics for the American team?
There's got to be someone. I can't think of who
Can
it
you
is.
read? Do you mind reading them? Just because I don't have it in front of me.
Kyle Connor, uh, Jack Eichel, Jack Hughes, Jake Getzel, uh, Clayton Keller, Dylan Larkin, Austin Matthews, JT Miller, Brock Nelson, the Kachuk brothers, Tage Thompson, and Vintage Torchek.
So I think Clayton Keller didn't go. So they must
No,
let
he
you. He didn't. I don't think he went to the Four Nations. So that must be another extra guy. So the big news though is that people are upset that uh Jason Robertson's not going. And this is where I was talking about steam coming out of my ears.
mm-hmm.
Um, Look, I like Jason Robinson. He's a good player. This isn't an all-star team. You have to build a team.
Correct.
Right, and I know that sounds harsh, and I mean the because if you think about it, in 2010 they were a goal away from winning a gold medal. In 2014 they were a goal away from beating Canada and going to the gold medal game, and then they lost by a goal there. They lost by a goal in the bronze medal game to Finland that year.
Yep.
And then at the Four Nations, they lose by a goal to Canada. So, I mean, scoring has been an issue uh, when they get against these top teams. But again, this is a completely different team. I think Tage Thompson will help with some of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think the Americans are looking to win the game 3-1. That's what they're hoping to be able to do.
Yeah. No. I.
Um,
Here's the question for you: who are you starting in that?
so I was waiting for you to ask that. So I wasn't going to bring it up. So thank you. Uh, thank you for bearing with me while I get a prop. For those of you watching on YouTube, this is who is starting in net. Jeremy Swayman needs to start in net. Okay, he has to. Connor Hellebuck, great Hart Trophy winner last year, um, has been hurt this year. I've seen what I need to see. Okay? Do the Americans want to like let? Do they want to win a gold medal this year? If they do, then there was a guy that won them a gold medal at the World Championships who's played a lot of these Euro guys, right? This is the difference. This isn't you're not just playing the four nations over again. We're not automatically going to play Canada in the gold medal game. Like we have to get
Yeah.
there first. And in order to get there, you have to play Switzerland, the Czech Republic, Sweden, whatever it is. And a lot of these guys who weren't on the playoff teams last year went to the World Championships. And Swayman and Tage Thompson and others were able to deliver a gold medal to the United States. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to win a gold medal? Great. Well, you have to get there first. And Swayman got his team there less than a year ago. And I would say you give them a look. If they lose to Germany, I think they're playing Germany in the early on. Um, if they lose to Germany like 4-0 with Swayman and it's a five-alarm fire, then I'll come on this program and I'll admit that maybe it was a bad idea. But you got to give him a shot. I mean, Jake Ottinger hasn't impressed me. I mean, look, Jake Ottinger has a few more rounds of playoff experience than Jeremy Swayman, but the Bruins have put Jeremy Swayman in to game sevens 4 years in a row. Now, he is I think he's 1-4 in those game sevens. But uh, his rookie year, when Rask was hurt slash whatever, they plugged Swayman in randomly at the end of the game. And then obviously against Carolina in 2022, they put him in because Allmark was peeing his pants. And then they did the same thing against Florida the year after that. So it's like he's played in these big games in the NHL and he's played in big games at the international level. So I think if you're Mike Sullivan and you're the USA coaching staff, you should start Jeremy Swayman and you can always change to the other guy. You're not locked in. It's going to be a long term. It's going to be a slog. What do you think? Sorry, I'm going way too long on your question.
No, I mean, that's tough. I mean, I think you ride whatever's the hot hand. I don't know which is currently the hottest hand, but I mean, you still have the exhibition games to kind of figure out, okay, which one are we going to ride as we get to the playoff spot. I think it's what they're probably going to do. I'm just wondering how we're going to stack up as a very unexperienced team against some of these teams who are experienced, as you mentioned before, like Team Canada, Team Finland, Team Sweden. Like these teams are more experienced. Do you think the experience factor may potentially catch up here to Team USA?
No, I don't because there's a lot of guys in Canada that have won Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of guys in the United States that have won Stanley Cups. The one question I'm a little bit worried about is Matt Tkachuk's health. Um,
Mm.
we'll see how that goes. I am worried about health because we still have a bunch of NHL games before this begins, and the United States is basically one injury away. Despite all the arguing we had over who should make the team and who shouldn't make the team, we're like one injury at center away from like maybe not medaling. Like, as much as I pick on Austin Matthews, if he gets hurt, uh, yeah, or if like Dylan Larkin gets hurt, or if Matt Tkachuk isn't healthy, I know he's a winger. That's tough. So I do think I do think the United States can beat anybody. I also think they could lose to Canada and Sweden. They could lose to Sweden or Finland in a medal round or in a semifinal, right? So I think people are treating this like it's the four nations, like we're just automatically going to play Canada in the gold medal game. Like that probably has like a 40% chance of happening, but I, I am I am
I mean, like,
prepared for the other 60%. And look, Jeremy Swayman is sixth in the league in goals save above expected. All right. Of the five guys ahead of him, three are Russian, so they don't count in this Olympic discussion. But Logan Thompson is second in the league in goals save above expected for playing for the Capitals. He should start for Canada. That should be the question that they're having up there. Who's going to start for them? Again, conventional wisdom would say, Binnington, he's done it for you. No, ride, like you said, ride the hot hand. Ride Logan Thompson, ride Jeremy Swayman. They're playing well. They're among the best goalies in the uh they're among the best goalies in the league this year. You'd be stupid to overthink it. Connor Hellebuyck is 15th, right? Like I like Connor Hellebuyck, but I've seen what I need to see, is what I
yeah.
guess what I'm saying. I don't know. You froze a little bit. Oh, did you turn into Austin in the
I,
slot
I
with the
did turn.
puck on a stick?
I did. I was looking at Team Canada's roster, and I decided to tuck my tail and hide away on the bench.
Oh, yeah, like Mitch Marner. Oh, wait, actually, no, Mitch Marner. I think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, if you want a hot take, I think Mitch Marner is going to be the leading scorer for Canada. Just, yep, that's my hot take for the Olympics.
My hot take is Celebrini is going to be the points leader.
Ooh, yeah. What do you think of that? If you had asked people like the hockey prospect nerds like 4 years ago, who makes the Olympic roster in 2026, Celebrini or Bedard, I think like 90 out of 100 would have said Bedard.
I would say Celebrini. I mean, when he came into the league, he was already disgusting. I think he just is also better suited,
You
and
know
I
why
think
he's
that
better? He
he's put a franchise and a team that actually builds around him.
well that
That,
that and he played college hockey.
yeah,
Like I like the WHL. It's a good league. It's not the NCAA Hockey East. Like it's
no,
not. So
no.
there's that.
And I'm just wondering for Team Canada though, like this team is stacked from
It
top.
will be a national emergency if they don't win a gold medal. Like they are so good.
Do you
Like
want to hear their forwards just alone? How you feel about it?
sure, hit me with it.
Celebrini,
Yep.
Sorelli,
Yep. Yep.
Hagel.
Yep.
They also have some big boys on here, so they are matching up with Team USA. So they got
Wilson.
they got Tom Wilson. They've also got Boy Halvin, the Islanders. They're big body there. Nathan McKinnon, of course, the goals and points leader currently. Pratt, Mitch Marner, as you mentioned, Connor McDavid, Brandon Point, Sam Reinhart, Mark Stone, and Nick Shrulski, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot about him.
So, like, I mean, matching that up to compare to Team USA, I'd
It's
be
it's apples to apples, I'd say. Like I think obviously the top is like McDavid, right? So like McDavid and Crosby and McKinnon and Brad Marchand and like these are all guys that have had a ton of success in the league. Reinhardt, like they're amazing. Same you could say the same about the Kachuk brothers and Jack Eichel and whatever. Um and I guess Austin Matthews, if you want. I mean, he is a 60 goal scorer in the league or whatever it is, so whatever. Um, yeah, I'm really excited. The other thing I just want everybody to understand, the United States is not guaranteed to play Canada. So all these people that are talking about, oh, hey, the United States built their roster to beat Canada and the Canada beat their roster to beat the United States. Yeah, but no. And I'm going to keep hammering that home. We might not play each other. We could very well lose in a semifinal in different sides of the bracket and not play each other and have it be Sweden and Finland, or you know what I mean, in the or the Czech Republic and Finland, or Sweden or Switzerland or Latvia. Who the hell knows? So it's a wide open tournament in
correct.
terms of possibilities. I think the favorite would probably be the United States or Canada. And I mean, if you're asking me who's going to win, it's probably going to be Canada. As long as they get defense and goaltending, it's going to be Canada. But hey, we're going to have another pod to
Yeah,
discuss this before the Olympics. And the reason why is I think there's still the opportunity for things to change. I think you're going to have at least one injury on both teams, or both North American teams, before we get to the Olympics.
correct. No, I agree. But hopefully everyone stays healthy. But still a lot of NHL season left before we get to even the Olympics. I think we still got like a full month-ish almost.
Yeah, right. And I don't want anybody I don't want anybody to be too reactionary. Like, look, Jason Robertson's having a great year, but like so's Morgan Geekie, and no one's like is saying that Morgan Geekie should be on
Yep.
Team Canada. You know what I mean? It's like it just you can only invite so many guys. Like I wish they could bring 40 guys, right? But they can't. So instead, you have to make tough decisions. And I agree with you about JT Miller. I don't love that, but look, I'm just glad Tage Thompson's there because I do think he has the opportunity to be a difference maker who can ride an elevator up and down the lineup. Tage Thompson could play on any of your four lines and you'd be in good shape. So hopefully he's a guy that stays healthy. Any other hockey thoughts before we close out the pod? I'm gonna see you next week. We're gonna go to a game. Knowing my luck, the Bruins are gonna lose like 5-1. That's just what happens.
Hey,
Uh,
Mitch Marner in a fresh new
oh
sweater.
my gosh. Yeah, Mitchie. And he shoots on our end of the building twice. So yeah, I mean, that
Uh,
is my hot take. He's the gonna he's gonna be the points leader for Team Canada. Points leader for Team USA is who probably Larkin. He's gonna get some power play minutes.
I'm gonna go with goal leader for us is gonna be Matt Boldy again. I think
Ooh,
points
Boldy. Yep.
leader. It's Jack Eichel. It's gonna be Eichel.
Yeah.
It's Eichel unless he's matched up with the Kachuk brothers, and I don't see him being potentially the points leader. Uh,
Larkin might not get that many power play minutes. I know he scored at the Four Nations in both games against Canada, I think. Um,
yeah, it was him and Matt Boldy. I think Matt Boldy was number one for our goal scorers, and number two was Dylan Larkin. They barely played.
have they named a captain?
I don't know if they named a captain, but he could be hiding for all we know if they named the captain, as we know
Oh
about.
yeah, true. He witness protection. If the CIA ever needs somebody to like go to Iran or something, uh, just go pick out Austin Matthews because you won't find him. You can't
No,
find him. Oh my God. All right. All right. Well, Kyle, we'll see how the NFL weekend goes. Hopefully, we live to tell another tale at the end of the weekend, and we'll try. I'll see you next week in person. Um, in the meantime, you know, uh, stay healthy. I had the flu after Christmas. It was awful. Body aches, every sore throat, everything. It was tough. But stay healthy, stay rested. All of you guys out there, the same guys and gals out there, the same thing. And before I go, we've got merch, boys and girls. Sportland.square.site, exclusive home for Odd Man Rush and Home Field Advantage merch. That's sportland.square.site. Use the code HOMEFIELD for 20% off your first order. That's the code HOMEFIELD. All right. All listener exclusive. We've got sweatshirts up there for Odd Man Rush in 4 colors. We're gonna get hats up there. I'm just waiting on quality control. So hang in there. We got merch finally after 3 years of this podcast. Kyle, last word.
oh gosh, last word is let's go Rams this weekend, and best of luck to your Pats.
All right, sounds good. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This has been a special crossover episode. We'll see you on the other side.